Hey, what's up, everybody? We are at 286, so we are off the lows, which is a good thing. We're off the lows here, and this could potentially be a liquidity grab right in here. Let's put a line right there. You could see that wick right there. We came through, we took out this low here, right? First of all, you have your run up all the way up, right? You come all the way back down. That's the first pullback. So that's A, right? You come up in a retrace. There's your B. And then you have one, two, three, four, potentially five for a C. So it could be finished. It could be finished. So if we start marching back up here, then the risk becomes a lot higher up here because then it could potentially be a B wave, right? That could be a B. Okay, so then what that means is if this is a B, then you would still need C later on. So, but the fact that it broke the low right here, you could see the fact that it broke the low, that may be enough for a C wave. Now, of course, if this kind of comes up, we get rejected in here and we roll down again, that's actually, it would give us a better shape. It would give us a better shape. And then also, if we look at the Fibonacci levels here, you could see that we perfectly nailed, well, just about the 786. But you could see right there, we haven't hit the 1-to-1 yet. And that's at 251 or so, 251. So, and if we look left and we go put that line right there, right? And then I'm actually going to take this line here, put it right there. That would be the zone. That would be the zone I would look for one more low, right? So if we have another low, that's actually a good thing because then it gives us a better looking shape. It also gets to the 1-to-1 extension. It also gives us, that three-way pullback. And then it also backtests this zone in here. Now, I'm not saying we got to go down and hit 251, but if we did, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. Let's just say that. So, yeah, that would be a nice move, just like that. Boom. Come down, hit 251, play around a little bit, then continue higher. You can also see it could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? We're working on this right in here. So if we take a little bit of a bars pattern here and just kind of put it right there, you could kind of see exactly what we were just talking about, right? So if I put that right there, look, you could tell where we're at. So even saw on Bitcoin, we potentially could have one more low, right? So you kind of play around up here, hit the high, but then get rejected from this supply line, and then bam, poke the low, get everybody super bearish, and then it pops back up. You have a reverse flag, and then continue as if nothing happened, right? So, yeah, this could be a reality coming up very soon. Now, if it's going to be incredibly bearish, the only time we should get bearish is, well, one, if Bitcoin breaks down, but two, if we lose this zone here. So if we lose this zone and then we come up and then we get rejected, that's when we can say, okay, this is something else. This is more complex. In which case, what would that be? It would be very simply you have 3 waves down, you have 3 waves up, and this would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rejection, 3. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. It would be 3 waves down, just like that. The difference is this would be, if it isn't, it would be only 1/3 of this entire move. So there you go. And that would be a W or an ABC, depends if this is 4 and 5. Hopefully it isn't, but that would be the case right there. And it would be a running flat. So boom, 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 right? And where would that running flat land? Well, if we put a trend-based extension here, that running flat would take us down to $2.04. And yeah, so $2.04 between that and maybe $1.90, I would say would be the spot. So that would be right there. And basically, if you look in between both of the lines, right? So the 1-to-1 extension and the 1-to-1 extension of this wave here, then you could see that gives us a perfect zone, right? And as long as we stay in that zone, we should look for more upside, right? So if we break the first line, which is this line here, that's okay as long as we continue out. But if we break the first line and we get rejected, right, and maybe we get back up at its corrective 3 waves, and then we just start coming down again, then that would give us the 3-wave shape, which would be somewhat of a base, a complex structure, before continuing higher. And a good example of that, just remember, boom, 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 go. Similar to Bitcoin here, you have boom, 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 go, right? So if that's the case, it's as if XRP is like right there. If that's what's playing out, and I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Again, it's not my main idea. My main idea is we break out now, because I just don't see from a time perspective Bitcoin, taking as long as it needs to. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second, but essentially, yeah, you have an A or B and a C, right? You have your base, you play around, you break out. So that would be A, B, C. There's your base, play around, then you break out. And it would actually be very bullish because it would fix this shape. Because the problem with this wave is this 3-wave move here. That's why it needs to fix itself now. Otherwise, it risks breaking down and doing that. So those are the 2 ideas. The main idea is the blue. The secondary is the pink. So yeah, let's see how it plays out. So the good thing is, though, we have a nice shape, right? That I like the way it's shaped. So we got that 3-wave shape. So let's see. So let's look closer and see what happened here. Yeah, I just don't like that. I mean, what the hell is that? It's nothing special, I'll tell you that. It's nothing to get out of bed for. It just seems weak, honestly. So we got to be cautious in here. You could see here's your downward resistance line right there. And we are basically stuck inside of this potentially descending triangle. So here's the thing. If it wants to take its sweet time and be a three-way pullback. What it could do though is it could just volatility slows down, it flatlines, and then it just dumps, which would mean the same thing. It would just take longer to get there. So I'm like, well, let's just get it over with now. If it's going to break down, let's just do it now. Right? There's no need to just do all this, right? And a lot of times the reason why things happen like that is because people don't give up, especially XRP holders. It's getting harder and harder to shake them out, right? Because they're waking up more and more. But traders are very patient, more patient than investors sometimes. So they'll wait until people give up in here, and then it'll just and then that's when they jump in, and then it goes, right? So hopefully not. If that's not the case, then what we want to see here is we want to see some strength. We want to see a definitive break. We want to see a breakout, right? And then even if we do break out, it could still be a B wave. So honestly, we're really not going to be too excited until we really break into the $4 range. And that's when we're like, okay, now this is real. This is the real deal. Because other than that, we got to wait a little bit here. So, but as far as the small time frames go, I mean, I don't see anything really. Let's flip it upside down here. I mean, I do see something, but I want to flip it upside down. So you do kind of have a flat here, right? You have a three-wave move. Looks to be almost finished. So if this comes back up in 3, that could be a good long for a move up, which inversely would be up, right? So this looks like a little bit of a wedge to me. It looks like it needs to come down. Looks like it needs to come down. But if we could come down in 3 and then start moving up, bullishly, it's going to start to look like a base. It's going to look like a platform, right? But if it's a wedge and it just kerplunks, then, maybe we hit our target and then that's it, right? Because if we look at Bitcoin, and I showed this fractal, I want to say last video or the video before that, but essentially we have a expanded flat here, and we have the same thing here. So if we take a bars pattern and just kind of look here, got to shrink it down. And if we look, let's put it on the 4-hour chart, and let's see, Bitcoin actually looks better than XRP right here. We could say that it was done, right? We could say it's finished. There's 2 ways to look at it. We'll look at it this way first. But essentially, it could be done. I mean, it has all the correct shapes, right? You have the boom, 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 right? You have the bottleneck. You have the bottleneck. You have kind of a little drop, You have a pop to the high. You have a pop to the high. You have a flush. You have a flush. Boom, boom. Look at this, guys. Look at this. And then you have a little roundabout. You have a little roundabout. Flush the low one more time, right? And then what do? You pop the high and then you go. You pop the high and then you go. So I like it. I think it looks pretty sweet. I don't know about you, right? Now there's another idea here that maybe we have one more to go. We have one more kaplunk to go, and that would mean XRP hitting the 1-to-1 extension. Remember, 251. And so if I take this up, we could potentially say, I gotta make it a little bigger here. Basically, you see this little move right there? That would mean that move there. And then you have the dump. Then you have the dump. Then you have the pump. Boom. And then this is the dump. And then this is the dump, right? And then we go up. And then we go up. So which one is it? Is it one or is it two? I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we just go now. That would be cool. We are all built with anticipation. I think that's also the issue here is there's a lot of people anticipating, including myself, a big move, right? And when you anticipate something, a lot of times it doesn't happen. It makes you second guess. Maybe this is not right. And then when you least expect it, then that's when it goes. So I really like this pump here. It looks so much better than XRP did, and I should have went long on Bitcoin too. I was looking at it last night. You had the double bottom here. I just didn't do it. I got something else instead. I'll show that later. But look at this. We broke above our downtrend here. Right? We've been going, and let's put up XRP side by side here. Yeah, so you could see Bitcoin took the high, XRP did not, right? So you could see the rally here, it's stronger versus a weaker rally. So Bitcoin's definitely stronger at the moment than XRP, but it's probably because Bitcoin dominance had dumped so aggressively that it probably needs a bounce, right? Especially, if you look here, look at that. So we had a 3-day 9. So first of all, when you go up, you get a 9 sell, you pull back. You go up, you get a 9 sell, you pull back. You go up, you get a 9 sell, you consolidate. You go up, you get a 9, you pull back. Well, those are all 9 sells. Now we have a 9 buy right here. So we could, in fact, pull back before going down. And that pullback could mean Bitcoin's stronger for this month and potentially next month against certain altcoins. So this is definitely a good thing, right? Because you could see, you could look at the RSI, right? The MACD and all those things. It's not looking so hot here, but I don't expect it to just crash, right? Like it did over here. Let me get rid of all this. Please stand by. There we go. So some people think that it's going to be like this and it's just going to be boom, done. And I don't think so. I mean, it could, but I don't think so. I think what we're going to see is a little bit more oscillation. I mean, you got all of these stops in here, right? So we still haven't had a lower low yet. We have higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high, right? So it's technically the trend is not broken yet. We can't treat it like that. We have to treat it as a pullback so far, right? I think this is the real deal, but I think more time is needed. Now, we did break a bit of a trend line in here, and I would say it's quite respected. Yeah, we totally broke that trend line. That's the first step. But all I'm saying is that's a big move in relation to this. So that first move, that first crash, doesn't matter what it is, you should get a retrace and then a continuation. Now, it could be just a little bit of this. It could be this. It could be all the way up and then this. I doubt that though. So we'll see how it continues to progress, but it sort of looks like it's kind of a diag in here in a way. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which if that's the case, it's very bearish because then you would see a three-way pullback and then a continuation down. So, but here's the cool part. If we're expecting that, then that's a good thing for Bitcoin because we actually want Bitcoin to keep going. We don't want Bitcoin to stop. So if Bitcoin wants to go and outshine some of the other coins, then that's great because what we want to see is we want to see a continuation up here. And then once we get up there, right, then we can start to see some of that translate into the altcoins. It's just like when we were marching up here, you know, Bitcoin chilled out a little bit, you know, some of the alts gained some steam, right? Like, for example, Ethereum really threw out in here. So this is a good development. This is a good sign. We're still pumping. It looks good. So what I would say is if we could break this is the big area right there, right? That's the big area. So even if it does go all the way up here, it doesn't matter. We got to break that, right? We got to break it. So the best possible thing Bitcoin could possibly do is get up here, give us a three-way pullback, and then go. And then what that is going to look like potentially is you could see it, right? You got a shoulder, you got a head, you got a shoulder, right? So what would be that measured move potentially? Well, if actually this measured move right here I'm about to do could be the cycle top for Bitcoin. So seriously, so if I go all the way down right there and then I take this and I go all the way up, I'm gonna do two of them. I'm gonna do it from one there because what I don't know is let me draw it one more time and see how it looks. You really want, okay, so you really want to do it. I'm gonna do one more here. You really want to do it from this peak here. And I'm gonna do one a little lower just to give us another reading here because it's never gonna be totally perfect, right? So right there's your zone. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. I'll put that there. Okay. So there you go. So that is $138,000 to $140,000. I think that sounds about right. So if we take a trend-based fib extension, now here's where the confluence comes in. Do we have any confluence? Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we? Not quite. Not quite. We don't have any confluence here, right? So kind of, sort of, not really. You could say maybe the one-to-one extension right there. So basically you take this move and you double it, and that's what we would get, right? Another way we can look at it is by taking this wave from here to there, back down to here, and we were looking at that's a little better between the 786 and the one-to-one. And then we'll do one more, which is what? A standard retrace from, you could see the problem with retraces, you could do it from here or you could do it from here. But this is the one. This is the one. So you could see, whoops, let me put that right there. There we go. So if you take this whole move and you put a fib level from the top to the bottom, well, would you look at that? The 1618 comes right in where our zone is, where our measured move is. Because honestly, you could say, well, why would you do a measured move? There's no pattern yet. Well, yeah, because if this does come back up, there's your pattern right there. You're going to have it. You're going to have that potential inverse head and shoulders. So I would say 135 to 140 is a good top for Bitcoin, which doesn't really give a lot of time for the alts. So let's keep moving here. So XLM looks good. The shape looks really good. You could see you got that 3-wave shape. It actually looks really nice. So, do we have to roll over one more time to get that a little bit extended move? Well, we'll see. It is Wednesday, so we're in the middle of the week. So we're in prime time right now. This is prime time for markets. Tomorrow is Thursday, which usually Thursdays have been the most volatile days of the week. So let's see if we get a big pump tomorrow, or conversely a big dump. I don't know. We do have some kind of move here. Let's see where we went to. Well, we haven't quite hit the 1-to-1, and that's why I'm a little bit skeptical here. So I would prefer it, and you can see if I put that 1-to-1 right there, and I'll get rid of that. You could see it's a very noteworthy spot. Let's just say that 32 cents. So if this comes up and tags the low, that would be a perfect A, B, C, with the A being as long as the C, right? I mean, you don't even need to do that. I mean, you could just take this line here, put it right there, right? And then take the line and then put it right there. And look at that. There's your 1-to-1. So I think we're close. Would I fire a bullet long? I mean, yeah, you could, but I probably wouldn't do it right now. I would honestly wait and see how this plays out in here. So let's look closer. I don't see anything that says we bottomed. I just kind of see something like this. It just looks like a flat, and a very weak flat too. So ABC, ABC dump, ABC, we could get a dump tomorrow it could be set, since we had a little bit of a pump today and yesterday, semi little pump. It could be setting us up for tomorrow, which could be a big dump. So we have to be aware of that. Now, do I believe that? I mean, it's a tough one right in here, because on one hand, what is that? Well, to me, first of all, if we go to the 4-hour, do I have bearish or bullish divergence? I don't have it. I don't know why this does that. Okay, there we go. We do not have bearish or bullish divergence. So I'd go to the 2-hour. On the 2-hour chart, we do have it. So you could see we had bullish divergence there, but then it popped the high, and then it took it out. So we have bullish divergence here. Where did the RSI go to? It went up there. So we're not even there yet, right? As far as just looking at it from a fractal perspective. So, when I look at this, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see a rising wedge. And then I see a move down and a move up. And this move up did not take the high. So if this moves back down, this could technically be a 1, and that could technically be a 2. and then we continue, right? If it's not a 1, 2, then this is 3, 3, and then this is 5. 3, 3, 5, A, B, C. And if that's an if this is an impulse with a three-way pullback, what do you think that means? More down. Which would make sense because, again, we have the 1-to-1 right there. So let's look at other charts here. Let's go to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin looks really nice. Bitcoin looks bullish, honestly. The reason why is because you can see it pulls up and then it pulls down. It pulls up and then it pulls down. Well, actually, yeah, I mean that could be a nest. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. This could be getting ready to move hardcore, guys. Just by the way it's shaped, you know, we want to break this line though. We need to break that line. If we don't, we're just kind of channeling and then, you know. So it does have a very interesting posture. It's got a bullish posture. You can see right there, you're cupping into the resistance. You're cupping into the resistance. You broke the resistance. You backtest the resistance. You're breaking the high. So you're looking pretty good here. Bitcoin looks pretty good. But the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is you really haven't done anything until you break that high. If we could break this high, well, then that's a good step in the right direction, right? So it's definitely intense right in here. Definitely intense. So we got to wait. Now, the 1-to-1 extension on here, I don't remember oops, did we hit it? Or what was the read on that from the last video? Oh yeah, okay. So we hit the 1618. So we have more than enough for Bitcoin. And that's partly why we're probably seeing more strength out of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin hit a 1618 and XLM, XRP haven't even done a 1-to-1. So no wonder why Bitcoin's more bullish, because it had more downside. Let's look at, well, let's just look at ADA. Okay, so ADA looks very nice. I love it. The reason why I like it is because it's got this falling wedge type of look to it. It's got this wedge look, right? And falling wedges typically break to the upside. So you have a wedge pattern here. And, you know, we could still have one more low, right? We could still have another low, but we're just going to have to monitor the supply line, this line right here. So if we could break it, now we got to close above it because we don't want to wick above it, right? But I will tell you, it does look nice because you could see, I like how we did a base right in here. We broke below and then we came back up. This to me looks exactly like Wyckoff, like literally like Wyckoff. Look, I would have to look very closely. So, yeah, it's a little complex of a Wyckoff structure, but you have boom, boom, come up here. Here's your spring or your spring phase. There's your liquidity grab. Come back up to the top. You play around. You break out. So we don't know if that's going to be the case yet, but it does look good. It does look good. I like how, because if you were to flip this upside down, that looks bearish. Oh my God, that looks bearish. Look at the head and shoulders in here. See how you're cupping down, you're cupping down, you're cupping down, you're cupping down, right? Remember, the chart's upside down, so it's really bullish. So, I am bullish on ADA. Look at that. It still looks like it wants to, I think this is going to push. I think we're gonna push. So let me look at my trade here. All right, so yeah, I thought I had 88. I don't have it. So I actually had AVAX. And SHIB and XRP, just little quick daily trades, nothing special. But yeah, there's ADA. I mean, it looks great. It looks great for a retrace, right? Because you could see you have this three-way move, right? So to me, it makes sense to come up and at least get a retrace. And if it wants to continue down from there, then hey. But yeah, so we could see like this could be like, for example, um 1 2 3 4 5 1 A B C 2, and then you have 1 2 3 4 5, that's 1 A B C, and then we're going to go up in a retrace and then come back down, and there's your 2 A B C, and then go up. So to make it more complex based off the degree of the wave. Another reason I like ADA is because we are holding above that zone in here. Well, we're kind of in the zone, right? We really need to break above this area because this is major. This is a major spot right in here, right? Even going right in here. So what I would say is we need to break. Oh, we got too many lines here. There we go. I want to see us break this right there, which is exactly 84 cents, 84.30. So we're right there. I mean, you can see we're right up against it, right? So let's get up there. If not, then it's the same thing as the other coins. This could be a flat, A, B, C, a flat, and then we roll over, and then we do it, right? So Bitcoin hit the 1618, so Bitcoin may be telling the story. You could see ADA did not hit the 1-to-1. It came pretty close, and it might even be, you can even count it. So yeah. Monero. Okay, so Monero, I still like Monero. I mean, look at Monero. I mean, it's just been going up for the whole year, right? 2024, we're going up. 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 I mean, higher highs, higher lows. I mean, there's nothing to worry about. So, you recently had a big breakout and you had a three-way pullback. You back tested it. You have another pump and another three-way pullback. So let's see if that's enough to get us going. If it's not, then it could be, like three, maybe three, and then three, create some kind of a base. Hopefully we don't do that because that's just a pain in the nuts, right? So you could see right here looks really good. This is a nice falling wedge. One of my favorite patterns is a falling wedge just because, it's getting squeezed in here. And looks good. Like you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, right? So this could very well break out. Now, what we could see too, sometimes what happens is it'll break out and then it'll come down and finish and then it'll go. So, but let's take one thing at a time here, right? So, but yeah, Niaro, whatever it is, meme coin, S coin, impulse, three-way pullback. It's got that shape. So the next step is to get the W, right? So let's look at theta. Now theta is still in the wedge, man. Theta is a pressure cooker, and let me tell you, it is still getting squeezed in here violently, right? I mean, you could see, and it could be an issue, right? Because if let's throw some proper lines up here. There we go. There we go. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I haven't really mentioned it. I mean, we're just kind of waiting for Theta to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. So, if what we don't want is Theta to flatline, we don't want its volatility to slow down and then drop, because if you look at Bitcoin, right, and you look at right here, you can see the example I'm trying to make. Notice how it gets smaller and smaller, and then it flatlines and then jumps, right? So that's what we don't want to see for theta. So let me go back. But other than that, theta, I still believe, is going to get back up here. And I think we're working out a base down in here. And it's really like, if you kind of think about it, it's really like we haven't made any progress unless you're trading, right? This is why I trade, is because of reasons like this, right? We started the channel right there. Basically said we're going to go into a retrace. We had 3 waves up, but then we had to come all the way back down and revisit where we started. So this is prime opportunity for dollar cost averaging, right? Everybody who missed it up here, oh, I missed it. Well, here's your chance right now. Here is your chance to get it cheap, under $1. This will be a better investment than XRP, guys. And I know that's going to piss people off, but it's not. I'm not talking about utility. I'm talking about percentages. Theta, think about this. The all-time high for XRP is 330. XRP is literally right at $3, just basically. The all-time high for Theta is like $15, $16. And we're only at 79 cents. So just to get back to the all-time high, Theta is going to have a much a much more beneficial time because of the percentages. I mean, you can see where we're at here, guys. This is no joke, right? And if I put, for example, if I put, XRP and Theta side by side, look where XRP is at, guys, versus Theta. Theta is literally down at the bottom of the barrel. Okay, so yes, XRP is way more bullish. Yes, XRP will probably have more utility based off, the position Ripple is in. They're in a bigger position. But, when you're talking about banks and payments, I mean, that's really all the money right there. Theta is good for other things, but it's not even a comparison. It's more so, it doesn't even matter. Look at Dogecoin. It's a piece of crap on a stick, and it made people multimillionaires just by investing a couple $100. Crazy, right? So it doesn't matter necessarily. What matters is the percentages. That's what means everything. I will sell all my XRP right now and take a big dump on utility if I could buy a meme coin that was going to go 50,000x the next day. You know what I mean? Like, come on. That's why these Bitcoin guys are so fake, because they say, oh, Bitcoin only. But it's like, well, no, it's not Bitcoin, it's money. It's USD. That's what you want. You want USD. You don't want BTC. You want USDC. You want USD, right? Because at the end of the day, Bitcoin's not going to give you that much percentage. Now, if you look very simply at Theta just getting back, and the reason I'm saying this is because if you're a Theta holder, you probably might not feel so great, especially when thinking about it in XRP. But honestly, I would rather somewhat be more in Theta because Theta has a lot further to go, right? So if you look, just to get back to the 618, I mean, you're already at 12x, okay? So, I mean, come on. But there's no guarantee that it's going to do that, right? So, and you can say, well, why don't you sell all your XRP right now and put it into Theta? Because XRP is in a much closer position to the finish line. So, let's just put, so I don't have to get all these lines up here. I'll just put it right there. There's our zone. Let's get rid of that. So, for as percentages goes, I mean, we really don't have much left. If we hit $8, that's not even a 2x. Well, it should be a 2x. All the way up to, $13 or say $10, that's only 270%. So it's really not a lot, right? Now, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and we'll say 300%. Actually, let me do it correctly here. We're at 285, and we're gonna go up, and it should hit. Well, it should hit between $9 and $10. So we'll say 250%. Okay. So that's it. That's all we have left. That sucks. 250%, that sucks. So that's why XRP is probably struggling, is because a lot of people recognize that fact and they're selling it, and they're gonna, what are they gonna do? They're gonna rotate, right? They're gonna rotate. So we have 250%. So if Theta goes up 250%, I mean, dude, that doesn't even put you at $3. Theta's all-time high was $15. So it doesn't even put you at $3. So you see what I mean? So what I have to ask myself, what is more probable? XRP hitting $8, $9, $10 or Theta hitting a retrace? I say they're both pretty much equal. So then I have to say, okay, well, which one do I think is going to happen first? Well, XRP is closer to breakout than Theta because Theta has a lot more resistance to work through. So I would say XRP. So what is the strategy? What is the rotational strategy? The rotational strategy is to wait for XRP to break out and then figure out where Theta is at that moment, because you really want to get in this area, right? But there's a few more things we're waiting on, right? So, when you look at this, you could say it's bearish, and it's only bearish if we take out these lows. So if we're buying right in here and our stop loss is literally right below, it's not too bad, because you have, this much downside versus this much upside. So in my opinion, I think this is 3 up, this is 3 down, and we should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. And that's going to be your 3-way move. And then we kind of come down into some kind of a reaccumulation in here. So that's how I see it. Now, if it's not that, then this is going to break down and then we go. So it really comes down to those two ideas. So I like it too, because you can see how we're coming down And then as we go down, we're actually flipping red, green, right? So we're kind of creating a little bit of a base within a base. But other than that, we just have to wait. We have to wait, and hopefully this could break out. And the first break, the first move, like let's say it starts to pop up, that could be a fake out, right? So we have to see, is there a lot of volume in it, right? You know, because sometimes it'll give you this impression like it's going to break down and it'll just shoot right on up. And let me see if I have an example of that. I think I do with Bitcoin over here. Let me see. Yeah, like kind of like right in here. Or even over here, like this. You know, we were cupping down, cupping down, cupping down, cupping down, and it was getting wedged and volatility was slowing, but then we just broke out. So, all right, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, could be an issue, just because it went up so much, and it's got 5 waves, and it's, you know, that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you got 5 waves, and it's like, you broke out already. So it could mean you need a pullback in here, unless we hold that line. You could see that line is actually being held very nicely, right? So let me go back down. So what I think here, it could be some kind of a flat, obviously, right? So you have an A, a B, and then maybe we kind of come down here in a C, and then we A, B, C, and we continue up. So Ethereum's kind of, we just have to wait and see for this one. Yeah, so 3, go, or it could be 3, and then 3, and then 3, and then go. Or this could be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we haven't even started A yet, and this is like the beginnings of A, and then B, and then C, you know. So we'll see. Let's look at, you can see like H bar. H bar, you know, you have this little descending triangle here. It broke down, or, you know, it appears so, right? But you do have that 3-wave shape, right? So you do have like 1, 2, 3. This could be 4, and then maybe get 5. So potentially another low here. Link. I like Link because it looks, you kind of got this little, it looks really good actually, a little falling wedge. So it kind of looks like it broke out, you know. Let's see if we can get back up here. So what I think could be happening here is something like what we just looked at with Bitcoin here. So if we look at Bitcoin, whoops, and let's see. Yeah, if we look at Bitcoin, what is going on here? Get rid of that. And we go down. Now I want to show you something here. Look at this. So right in here, you could see right there you had that falling wedge, guys. Okay, so let me bring this here, right there. I mean, doesn't that look eerie similar? I mean, it looks really similar, doesn't it? So let me try to fit it nicely. Here we go. So you have this little falling wedge, right? So the idea would be, okay, well, what if, you know, we broke out, right? So if we break out and then kind of swoop down and then go, swoop down and then go, just like so, ABC. So there you go. Let me go back to 88 link here. Okay. So I think that's enough. We looked at Filecoin the other day. Nothing special. CRV. Yeah, same with CRV. You know, it's definitely got that falling wedge look to it. So I want to see something happen. Either, and this goes with everything, either one more low or a break. So if it's one more low, either way, I think, you know, kind of like what we saw here. I mean, wow, look at that. So if I take this bars pattern and I kind of look at it through that lens, there we go. Yeah, I think it looks good. Now check this out, right? You have boom, 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 right? You have this move up, move back up, and then you can see we had a big drop. We had a big drop, and then we kind of washed around a little bit, and then you can see we had another drop. We had another drop, and then you can see this little hump right there. See a little hump right there, and then oh my God, look at this, guys! This is awesome. And then you have this another little hump, right? And then it kind of broke out a little bit, pulled back. Maybe that's what we're doing again. Pull back and then explode. Bro, that looks pretty sweet to me. I don't know about you. That actually lined up nicer than I thought it would. I mean, I just painted a nice picture there for us. So, yeah, looks good. And if it's good for CRV, it's got to be good for everything else, right? So SHIB, you know, it's definitely nerve-wracking in here. Same thing like Theta, you know, just kind of waiting for that thing to break. And I want to go out on the record and say it's probably going to break tomorrow because it's the most volatile day of the week. It looks like it's 70% of the way there, right? Usually wedges break, you know, between 70% or so, 72%. So to me, that looks like 72% of the way filled. So check. So XRP looks a little sad, right? And you know, a little bit in here. You know, it looks like a flat. So I would imagine we would have to pull back in here, reset for the daily close, or into tonight, maybe into midnight tonight, right? And then as Thursday kicks off, I think hopefully we get a nice pump. If not, then another low. So ICP. ICP looking good right in here. Well, decent, I should say, right? I mean, it's got threes everywhere, man. I mean, you got three up, you got three down, right? So to me, this would be three back up, right? That's what it appears to be. So I'm just looking at the shape here. Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 3, and then you got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this could be done. So we've got to keep an eye on it. Did we look at AVAX? Yeah, we looked at AVAX. So AVAX, real quick here, you know, either it's an ascending triangle or it looks like a B wave in here. Looks like it's going to come up and break the top and then something like that. So A, B, C, maybe a flat. I just don't like how, you know, corrective this is. It looks a little like it needs something, right? So, but yeah, you can see a three-way move up. So if this is 3 down, then, you know, we could be close. We could be very close. Litecoin. You got a little double bottom there on Litecoin. You got a 3-way pullback. So I think we're just kind of waiting and seeing. But anyways, I think that's enough. Total 3. Just kind of looking here. Silver. Look at silver, man. $41. All my silver investment has paid off. Not really. I mean, so if I would have took all the money I had that I put into silver and I simply would have just put it into XRP, I would have been way better off, honestly. You know what? I want to see what XAG versus XRP. XAG, XRP. I don't even know if that's going to work. Is that it? Yes, it is it. So, wait a minute. So it's against XRP. So what we would do is flip it upside down. There it is. So that's basically, wow. That's silver versus XRP. And you could see, I mean, it looks the same, really. Pretty much. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, Polygon. So, all right, that's the end of the video. I want to talk about Trump, though. So if you want to stick around and hear me talk about Trump, you can. So Trump, he was in the Oval Office meeting with the leader of Poland, and he basically said, a reporter asked him about tariffs and the income tax. And basically, he always says 1913, 1913. You know, between the late 1800s to 1913, we had so much money we didn't know what to do with because we had no income tax and we had tariffs, right? So why do you think he brings that up? And then he goes, after 1913, we had the income tax, and then we had the Great Depression. So basically what he just did, breaking news, he basically just inadvertently, and he knew what he was doing, he blamed the Federal Reserve for the Great Depression, guys. So let me say that again. President Donald Trump blamed the Federal Reserve for the Great Depression. That's massive. What that means to me is the Fed is no good, right? And he knows that. And that's why he calls him too late pal, because he's too late. He should have lowered the rates. But it's more than just lowering the rates. It's the actual system itself, right? Why did we allow a private central bank to control our nation's monetary system? It makes no sense, right? And we can't see what they're doing. We don't know exactly the business that goes on because they don't show anyone. So this is all going to push towards an audit of the Fed. And to see, do we really owe $36 trillion in debt? Do we really owe that money? Or was that money illegally dealt? Right? We don't know, right? So I think this is all going to the Federal Reserve. It's going to be, and I've been talking about this since Trump got into office. I said, when Trump went up against Hillary, I said, Trump's not going up against Hillary. And everyone saw it as Trump versus Hillary, right? I said, no, it's Trump versus the Fed. That's the point, because I know him, because the banks ruined his life. Think about it. Who is his number one enemy? You could say, oh, it's Biden. No, it isn't. It's Hillary. No, it's Iran. No, it's China. No, it's Putin. No, hell no. It's the banks. The banks, he leveraged his businesses, his money, right? And what happened? They say, oh, he went bankrupt. So if you went bankrupt and you came out on top, then that means you did something right. So if our country is bankrupt, then who's the man for the job? Well, gee, who in this country went bankrupt and battled the banks, right? Because that's what the banks want. That's what happened in 2008, right? They gave out loans they knew people couldn't afford, so that they can make the sale on it. But then also, they knew the people would foreclose and they would just take the house right back. So basically, that's how the banks roll, right? They don't want you to pay their mortgage. Why do you think it's called a mortgage, guys? What is morgue? What is a mortgage? Right? What is a mortgage? You got this right here is, well, what's a morgue, right? That's dead. It means you're dead, right? So the term mortgage comes from the old French words meaning mort, meaning dead. The engage meaning pledge, right? It's a dead pledge. That's what it means. Because, you're basically a dead pledge. So how is that good? I mean, that's terrible. It would be nice if someone can just buy a house and pay in cash, right? How many people in the United States can buy a house with cash? I mean, nobody. Even the richest people in the world don't do that. Because why would they do that when they can leverage a bank's money, pay the interest? You can say, well, why wouldn't you just pay it all in cash? And you avoid the interest. Okay. Well, if that's the case, well then, let's say a house costs $100,000. All right. And I just paid cash. I own the house. Well, versus the other guy, he paid $10,000, right? And he owns the house, but he's making payments on it. So the other guy took the rest of his money, which is $80,000. He invested it into XRP and the stock market and everything else. And now he made a lot of money on it. And then he took the profits of that, the percentage of a profit, and then he paid the house off. Versus the other guy, right? He paid the whole house off. So it's better to not pay in cash, right? It's better to, if you're going to pay, for example, if you're going to buy a motorcycle, it costs $10,000. If instead you pay $200 a month and then take the $10,000 you would have spent and put it into XRP or Bitcoin or whatever, then by the time the loan is done, all the money you would have made in crypto, you could have bought 5 bikes. You see what I mean? So you don't want to, all your dollar bills are your soldiers, right? Each dollar bill you have is a soldier. You don't want to kill your soldiers. You want to keep your soldiers, right? So, and you want to use other people's soldiers, kind of like Europe, how, they use NATO, right? So, stupid example. But at the end of the day, this is all boiling down to the money, all of the money. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this right here. It's the almighty dollar, right? And you can see the banks come in, right? And they finance all the wars, and the money dies and dies and dies and dies and dies and dies, right? So if that's the case, then what do? You got to use the system to its advantage, right? If I were Trump, I would take $50 trillion and rebuild the country. Why not? All the conservative Republicans, who, by the way, are not very smart, they would say, oh, you're wasting all the money, like Peter Schiff and Ron Paul and all these dummies. They come out and say, oh, you're destroying our children's future. Dude, our children's future is already screwed. We're getting rid of the system, right? It's like
the gift card, right? I gave you a gift card for Christmas, and the gift card's going to expire in 10 days. So what do? You use the gift card. I mean, come on. It's the same thing. We're going to, to translate that, we're going to transition from the Federal Reserve to a gold-backed crypto system. And we're going to annihilate all the debt. Right? So if that's the case, and it's going to happen in 10 days from now, then you might as well use all the money. You might as well use it all. You might as well use all the debt and buy whatever you want. And that's exactly what the United States has been doing. That's why the United States is the most powerful country in the world, is because how they position the dollar. It's how they position the dollar. So if the dollar is going to be transitioned into a new dollar, then you want to use the old value for what little value it has left and rebuild the country. That's why he put it all in the military last. He spent like how many trillions in the military, and people got upset about it. But I was in favor of it because the money's screwed anyway, so you might as well spend it. If I gave you $100 and that $100 bill was going to burn up in 15 minutes, you would run to the store and use it before it burned up, wouldn't you? Right. So that's what Trump's doing. He's using the money before it's done. And people don't understand, well, then what happens after that? We get a new money. And that's why we talk about crypto. That's I'm not saying it's going to be crypto, but I believe it will be at some portion of the financial system will be blockchain, will be crypto, if not all of it, right? Different from a CBDC, that's not what we want, right? In a perfect world, our Treasury Department is our central bank, right? So the Treasury takes in the tariffs, finances the government, right? And what do we need the Fed for? Why do we need the Fed? We don't. The Fed is an illusion. It's a total travesty of what we allowed happen, right? So go watch the meeting with President Trump. I mean, it's pretty sweet. So listen to this real quick right here. Watch.
We're doing them a big service. Yeah.
This is talking about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Whoa.
Possible.
Do you think
Possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money.
So he said 1913. Why did he say that? Because that's the year the Federal Reserve was created. And that's the year they screwed everything up. So isn't it a coincidence where he says, too late, pal. Pal's no good. What is the Fed doing? He tweets about the Fed all the time, how terrible they are. And then he says, well, before 1913, we were doing just fine. And then, but he's low-key saying it, right? It's like if your mom said, man, let's say you were born in 1995. And your mom's like, yeah, my life was perfect. It was so great. It was so perfect. I had the best life ever. And then 1995 happened. And now my life sucked. It was terrible. How would you feel? You would be like, whoa, I was born in 95, Mom. What the hell? You know? Like, that's what he's saying. He's basically saying, yeah, in 1913, it all went to hell. Well, who was born in 1913? The Fed. You see what I mean? So
We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913, we ended them in 1913.
1913.
How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression.
Oh.
And by the way, a lot of people try.
So basically, he just blamed the Fed for the Depression. He goes, we had 1913, and then we had the income tax. And how did that work out? And then we had the Great Depression. He's basically saying the Fed is no good. And that's the problem of this country. It's not Obama. It's not, well, there are problems. They're major problems, but they're henchmen, right? They're not the ones making, calling the shots. Well, maybe Obama in the basement on some levels, but it's really the Federal Reserve, the banking, the financial system is everything. If you fix the financial system, you fix every problem on the planet, really. There's really most problems, including crime. Like, look at all the people getting shot in Chicago. Do you think people would shoot each other if they had, a good job, a family, and something to live for? I don't think they would. I don't think they'd be slaughtering each other, or just look at most problems can be fixed with money. Unfortunately, that's the sad reality, but.
And say that, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone.
So why wouldn't the stupid Federal Reserve actually, or why wouldn't the stupid reporters ask them, well, so you're blaming the Fed, right? Exactly. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.